Once again, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. As always, I am Zak the Corruption Detector, and this is another edition of Red Pill News. Well, yesterday, the president launched a tweet storm to end all tweet storms. He has called for the full, total, unredacted declassification of every single document related to the Russia collusion hoax investigation and to the Clinton email investigation. We're going to be looking at those tweets in detail and talking about the implications of them. Then we're going to go through all of the recent posts from the last 24 hours, and then we're going to be putting together some dots from the last couple years in reporting by the mainstream media. We've learned in the last several days that, in fact, conclusively, Obama and all top-level people in his administration were well aware of this Russian hoax and exactly where it began. Please stick around. We're going to be talking about this and more. I'll be right back after a very brief word from our sponsor. As all of us know, the U.S. is facing its most viciously fought election in decades. And over the past few months, we've had a glimpse of what might happen after the election if the left is not happy with the results. Whoever wins, there are going to be some very angry people on election night, and it could all end very badly. Uncertainty is never a good thing for the economy. Markets crash, unemployment soars, house prices fall, and people get desperate. On a local level, ATMs might not work or just might run out of money, and lockdowns may mean deliveries not happening and everyday goods becoming scarce. Physical cash might simply be impossible to get a hold of for a while. We're seeing the effects of a change shortage right now, and that's why Noble Gold has put together their survival packs. These are carefully selected precious metal coins, gold and silver, that can be used instead of cash in an emergency. They're shipped straight to your door, discreetly and securely. They'll give you the peace of mind that whatever happens out there on November 3rd, you and your family will be okay. And don't worry if this is your first time buying gold or silver, you'll talk to a live person at Noble Gold that will explain everything to you so you can make an informed decision. To find out more about Noble Gold survival packs, just call the number below and talk to one of the team at 877-646-5347, or click the link in the pinned comment or description below. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all today, we have got to talk about President Trump's tweet storm over the last 24 hours. Since being released from the hospital, Potus has been hitting Twitter hard and heavy, focusing his barrage of tweets on the Russia collusion scam that was perpetrated against him and the American people. Let's see what happens. Well, our favorite Anon said that, and he did not disappoint. Yesterday afternoon, shortly after the release of those formerly classified Clowns in America memos from John Q. Brennan, Potus gave us this gem right here. I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russia hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal, no redactions. Now, he is the president, and he has the authorization to go ahead and do that. Full declass, no redactions. This means the full and complete declass that we were promised so long ago. It's exactly what we've been waiting for. Now, over the past 4 years, bit by bit, as small pieces were revealed and individual documents declassified along with hearings and testimony, the Russia collusion scam perpetrated by Hillary Clinton and her allies in the media was spelled out for us, and the gaps slowly filled in. Now, with the revelation that the entire scam was created by HRC to distract from her private bathroom email server, and also knowing conclusively that the plan was known to agency heads and revealed to the Obama White House, President Trump has been fully vindicated. The fake news media and swamp politicians in Washington have been revealed as a major part of the operation, parroting the Clinton campaign strategy on an almost daily basis. Not only did they know, but they encouraged it. They lied to the American public, and they spent millions upon millions of our taxpayer dollars funding a coup and the greatest lie ever told. None of this is new to us or to President Trump, but the revelation is a landmark event. The American public deserves the truth, and the heads of these agencies and career bureaucrats have been standing in the way of that truth. In fact, Declass should have happened a long time ago. After that beautiful tweet the president gave us yesterday, we got this gem right here. All Russia hoax scandal information was declassified by me long ago. Unfortunately for our country, people have acted very slowly, especially since it is perhaps the biggest political crime in the history of our country. Act. The president telling those people dragging their feet that the time is now. Release the documents. Potus requested the truth be revealed long ago. The reason we haven't gotten it is because the truth will destroy the legacy of these intel agencies and undoubtedly implicate many in crimes that have previously been thought unfathomable. This is truly not only the greatest political crime in history, but the greatest crime of all. The coup plotters have used our system for their own gain. They have looted and pillaged America for decades. And when the truth finally comes out, they will undoubtedly pay for their crimes. Now, first thing this morning, President Trump asked, where are all the arrests? Can you imagine if the roles were reversed? Long-term sentences would have started 2 years ago. Shameful. And he's right. If something like this had been done by President Trump or Republicans, they would already be in prison. Because the deck is stacked against our side. The people that are taking part in this coup are all part of the same team. They are all essentially an extension of the Democratic Party, and that includes the media, not just Hillary Clinton and her campaign, and tons of politicians in Washington, also people in big business and the tech companies. Now, President Trump is clearly at the end of his rope. He's known the truth since the very beginning. We've known the truth since the very beginning. And the time has come for the guilty to face the consequences of their actions. The time has come for the power to be given back to the American people. And that's what this movement is about. A peaceful transition of power. President Trump represents us, the American people. And the American people have had enough. The Great Awakening and the unity of all Americans is their greatest fear. Now, Thomas Jefferson, a long time ago, said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government." This is exactly what we're doing. The time has come, we are rising up, and President Trump is leading the charge. Cross that river, Mr. Durham. Give us the justice we need, deliver the guilty, and show us that the America we love can and will be made whole. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the many posts that have come over the last 24 hours. All right, guys, first, yesterday, 4811, we have an article from NBC News talking about how Facebook has recently made the decision to completely ban from its program any accounts that have anything to do with our favorite Anon. And of course, they say information warfare. That's exactly what it is. They want to ban anything having to do with the movement and anyone that probably has anything in their profile related to this. I'm sure that means any groups. They're no longer going to be on Facebook. So if that is you, I highly suggest that you change the style and the look of your account. Now, in post 4812, we have an excellent meme of President Trump standing in the midst of a bunch of guns from the mainstream media and elites. And our favorite Anon says he gave up everything. He knew his life and the lives of his family would forever change. And he knows the consequences. A man who had everything. Why do it? Well, the easy answer to that is that he loves this country. President Trump did not need to be president. This is one of the main reasons that I decided to support him in the very beginning. I knew exactly what he was putting himself into the middle of. The mainstream media, the elites, the politicians in Washington, they all suddenly universally despised him and wanted to do everything in their power to stop him from becoming president. It was pretty obvious to me that anyone who got that much flack from the establishment was definitely not on the side of the establishment and instead on the side of the American people. President Trump has essentially dissolved his entire life, his business, his safety, and his security to fight for the rights and freedom of the American public and to save our country. Now, post 4813, how close did we come to losing it? What if she got in? What if she got 3 or more Supreme Court justices? What if she got 300 or more justices? What if rogue elements remained, plus more added, within FBI, Clowns in America, NSA, State, DNI, White House, IRS, DHS, ICE, WHO, CDC? What if our military remained financially starved? What if foreign backers continued to control American policies? What if our borders remained open? What if China was given the keys? What if? This is not about Republican versus Democrat. Obviously, if any of these things had happened, America as we know it would have ceased to exist. This is not a partisan issue. You don't have to be a Republican to be a part of this movement. All that's necessary is that you love this country and that you understand the stakes here in this game. If Hillary Clinton had won, each of these things that President Trump has been able to accomplish over the last 4 years wouldn't have happened. The exact opposite would have, in fact, happened. If China had been given the keys to our country, who knows if America itself would even exist at all? If we didn't have a border protecting our national sovereignty, who would have come into our country? If you go to any country in the civilized world and attempt to enter illegally, they're not going to allow it. Why should we here in America allow people, non-citizens, to pour across our borders instead of coming in the right way? This is not about being anti-immigration. This is about following the law. Law and order is the rule of the land, and without law and order, our country will cease to exist. Now, post 4814, why are we being censored? Why are we being attacked daily? Why are we being condemned by Congress? 1984 thought crime? What happens when people are no longer allowed to think freely? What happens when people are no longer allowed to challenge their authority? What happens when people no longer fight back? That, my friends, right there is the description of a dystopian, totalitarian nightmare, something that we do not want in this country, and this is what we're standing up against on a daily basis. If these situations that we've found ourselves in over the last couple of years, thought crimes, censorship, the end of free speech, we would no longer be able to survive. People like you and I would be lined up against the wall in the same way that former tech CEO wished upon us very, very recently on Twitter. Now, in post 4815, we have that tweet from President Trump about the full declass of all information related to Russiagate and the Clinton email investigation. And we have the link to the tweet, and our favorite Anon says Red October. That's exactly what this is. Many people have been very impatient, wondering why the information wasn't made public sooner. Well, I've always said it is about the short attention span of people in the modern age. If it had come out any earlier, then it's very possible that a fake crisis brought about by the Dems and their partners in the mainstream media could have completely eclipsed it, and then people would forget. Now, right here before the election, it's going to be squarely on the minds of people as they go into that election booth. And President Trump has said as much in the tweets after the ones I read in the opener. He said specifically to remember what was done to us and done to this country and done to him when you walk into that booth. Now, post 4816, think drop regarding Senator Johnson regarding redactions, GSA versus FBI. Let's see what happens. Think Potus today, no redactions. Do you see what happened? And that's exactly it. What they said yesterday, let's see what happens. Well, this is exactly what happens. President Trump speaking out, demanding this full and complete declass because we, the American public, deserve this. Now, I think it's also worth mentioning that post 4814 and the president's tweet were a zero delta. They happened at the exact same time. And then finally, post 4817, January 15th, 2020. USA-China Phase 1 deal executed. China had a bad day. Number 2, impeachment articles released by Nancy Pelosi, walked, delivered to Senate. Attack versus POTUS, coordinated, planned for a specific day. And number 3, first CV-19 case lands at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Attack versus POTUS, mathematical probability, same day, natural versus controlled. Who benefits the most? Evil surrounds us. Clearly, all of those things happening on the exact same day was a coordinated attack, not only against POTUS, but also against the American people, because that is who they're trying to wrestle the power back from. This is not a coincidence. There are no coincidences, especially when it comes to the world of politics and the world of power. All right, guys, next, we're going to take a look back at some reporting from the deep state media assets, because with this new knowledge that Obama absolutely knew about this Russia collusion hoax narrative, we can put it together with some other things, especially the fact that he began holding secret basement meetings in the White House during July 2016, at the exact same time that the Trump-Russia collusion hoax was put into play by Hillary Clinton. He absolutely knew, and I'm sure that the fact that he started having these basement meetings in the White House was absolutely no coincidence. Of course, yesterday we got that DNI declassification revealing that John Brennan was aware of the hoax that Hillary Clinton was trying to put into play. The reveal came in the form of 2 memos, one typed out, the other written in John Q. Brennan's own handwriting. Now, this comes after the declassification of Ratcliffe's Russian intel assessment that was given to Lindsey Graham, in which he asserted that Hillary Clinton hatched the Russia collusion hoax in order to specifically pin the DNC hacking on Trump, even though it had nothing to do with it. Now, even though they didn't know exactly how far that Russian intelligence went, it became clear with the release of these new documents, the memo and the handwritten page of notes from John Brennan, that they were well aware that the intelligence was spot on, because they went on to brief President Obama about it. And they stated conclusively that the entire Russia collusion narrative was, in fact, completely fabricated by Hillary Clinton for the use of her campaign to obscure the fact that she was using a private unsecured bathroom server. In those handwritten notes from John Brennan, he said, "We're getting additional insight into Russian activities from a secret source." Cite, summarizing alleged approved by Hillary Clinton, a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. Now, this was on July 28th, and Brennan wrote POTUS on the memo, but the entire section of the note regarding POTUS is redacted. What do you think the chances are that that section entitled POTUS is in regards to Brennan's meeting with the president at that time, President Barack Hussein Obama? Now, the rest of the notes are heavily redacted, but there are titles in the margin, including JC, I would assume that's James Comey, Dennis McDonough, and Susan Rice. So it was not only Obama and Biden that were aware, but all of the top heads inside the Obama administration. Now, let's go back in time. We can take a look at this Yahoo News article from 2018. It was written by deep state journalists Michael Isikoff and David Korn, two of the primary proponents of the Steele dossier back at the very beginning. And they take note of the fact in the article back in July of 2016 that John Brennan began to take notice of Trump-Russia collusion, supposedly. Now, at the end of July, not long after the WikiLeaks had dumped over 20,000 stolen DNC emails before the Democratic convention, it had become obvious to Brennan that the Russians were mounting an aggressive and wide-ranging effort to interfere in the election. Now, this statement in and of itself is a bold-faced lie, because we now know that it wasn't the Russians. It was Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton was paying the Russians. So the pure projection pointed at Donald Trump needs to be directed right back at Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration. They claim that he was also seeing intelligence about contacts and interactions between Russian officials and Americans involved in the Trump campaign, except that they were actually seeing interactions and communication between Russians and people in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And they continue, by now, several European intelligence services had reported to the clowns in America that Russian operatives were reaching out to people within Trump's circle. We now know that those people reaching out were actually doing it on behalf of our allies and the American government. They were working to entrap President Trump and to entrap his aides and people close close to him in the campaign. And the Australian government had reported to U.S. officials that its top diplomat in the United Kingdom had months earlier been privately told by Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos that Russia had dirt on Hillary Clinton, and that has since shown to be false. By July 31st, the FBI had formally opened a counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia based on the Hillary Clinton disinformation, with sub-inquiries targeting 4 individuals: Paul Manafort, head of the campaign at the time; Michael Flynn, former Defense Intelligence Agency chief who had the information on where the bodies were buried in the Obama administration, and probably also mostly due to the fact that he led the crowd in saying "lock her up" at the Republican convention; and then also Carter Page, who we now know was actually an asset for the clowns in America and other agencies inside the United States government, which gave him access to Russian intelligence people. Now, at the time that Yahoo News reported this, back in March of 2018, they thought that President Trump would soon be removed from office because they were in the midst of gearing up for some type of an impeachment inquiry. They were working on it before President Trump was even in office. Now, in this article, they also reported that President Obama started holding secret meetings in the basement of the White House. Continuing, while Brennan wrangled the intelligence agencies into a turf-crossing operation that could feed the White House information on the Russian maneuver, Obama convened a series of meetings to devise a plan for countering whatever the Russians were up to. More like they devised a series of meetings to counter whatever President Trump was up to, working with Hillary Clinton's and Russian disinformation to try to make sure he would not be elected, and even if he was elected, to remove him from office thereafter. Now, the meetings followed the procedure known in the federal government as the interagency process. The protocol was for the deputy chiefs of the relevant government agencies to meet and hammer out options for the principals, that is, the heads of the agencies, and then the principals hold a separate and sometimes parallel chain of meetings to discuss and perhaps debate before presenting choices to the president. But for this topic, the protocol was not observed. Usually, when the White House invited the deputies and principals to such meetings, they informed them of the subject at hand and provided read-ahead memos outlining what was on the agenda. Well, this time, the agency officials just received instructions to show up at the White House at a certain time. No reason given, no memos supplied. Why? Because they didn't want this leaking out ahead of time. So they kept all of the high-level people read in on the hoax, and then they took this fake information and delivered it to the people under them in the government so that they thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were actually fighting against Russian collusion with our sitting president and candidate at the time. Now, for the usual interagency sessions, principals and deputies could bring staffers. Not this time. Again, no leaks. There were no +1s, an attendee recalled. When the subject of a principals or deputies meeting was a national security matter, the gathering was often held in the Situation Room of the White House. The in-house video feed of the sit room, without audio, would be available to national security officials at the White House and elsewhere, and these officials could at least see that a meeting was in progress and who was attending. But for the meetings related to the Russian hack, Susan Rice, Obama's national security advisor, ordered the video feed turned off. She did not want others in the national security establishment to know what was underway, fearing leaks from within the bureaucracy. Remember that fateful meeting in Trump Tower when Admiral Rogers went to Donald Trump and let him know that he was being spied on and most likely about this plot to try to make sure he never got into office. This is why Susan Rice did not want these meetings broadcast, because she was afraid of somebody doing the same thing that Admiral Rogers did. Admiral Rogers got around Obama and the administration by doing this, and Obama was not happy about it. Now, knowing this information, we know that Obama and his gangs were holding secret meetings in the basement of the White House, and now it's pretty clear these meetings were kept secret in an effort to cover up their crimes. Once again, the greatest political crime in our country's history and the greatest crime ever committed. Obama knew. Biden knew. Comey knew. Brennan knew. Rice knew. The DOJ knew. Everyone knew that this was a lie. Yet on a daily basis, Hillary Clinton and her surrogates in the mainstream media repeated this lie over and over and over again. They allowed for millions of dollars in American taxpayer money to be stolen to fund their campaign smear cam, this wrap-up smear against President Trump, so succinctly laid out by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I pray that this never happens to our great country ever again. And I pray that now that President Trump is willing to fully and completely declassify all of this documentation, the American public and those who don't fully understand just how important this is will finally receive the full picture and get with the program. We are trying to save our country. We are trying to restore our republic, and we are trying to maintain power in the hands of the people. America is the greatest country ever built. America is the greatest country ever created. But these thieves, this cabal, have worked tirelessly to steal it from us and to create this dystopian nightmare that we find ourselves in, where the press attacks people for speaking their minds, where the press and leaders in the military community attack the commander-in-chief. This is a disgrace, and this is why we must never stop fighting. We are so close, and I urge all of you, make sure you're registered to vote. Get out there on November 3rd and vote with your conscience. Vote for America. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for you. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am Zak the Corruption Detector, and this was another edition of Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much for watching today. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and always consider liking and sharing this show on your favorite social media platform. If you guys want to support the channel more directly, there are ways to do that in the description below. I appreciate everything you guys have done. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.